In one of the most dangerous moments of ancient history, a gigantic horde began marching toward Roman territory. They came from the north, fierce warriors who had already destroyed entire armies. It was not just an army, it was an entire migration of war. It is estimated that more than 40,000 warriors marched under the command of tribal chiefs thirsty for conquest. Meanwhile, in Rome, few imagined the size of the threat that was approaching. When the first news reached the Senate, panic spread quickly. Exhausted messengers brought reports of destroyed cities and defeated legions. The barbarians were advancing rapidly, and nothing seemed capable of stopping them. But Rome still had something the invaders did not expect: the discipline of its soldiers. And on that day, only 300 Romans would be placed between 40,000 barbarians and the heart of the Roman world. Between Rome and the invading horde, there was a dangerous place, a narrow pass surrounded by mountains. Roman scouts observed the terrain carefully, looking for any possible advantage. And then they saw the real size of the enemy army: 40,000 warriors against only 300 Romans. But the Romans were not planning to win by strength. They knew the terrain could turn that disadvantage into an opportunity. During the night, they began preparing the pass. Each man knew that place would become the battlefield. If the barbarians entered that pass, they would not be able to use their numerical superiority. And soon, the ground began to tremble with the arrival of the enemy army. Little by little, the enormous barbarian army began to approach the pass. Confident in their numbers, they advanced without fear. On the other side, the 300 Romans waited in silence. Each man knew that battle would decide his fate. When the barbarians finally saw the Roman defense, they began to laugh. To them, it looked like an easy victory, but the Romans knew exactly what they were doing. Without realizing it, the barbarians began to enter the pass, and the further they advanced, the more cramped they became. Then, the Roman commander gave the order. With a deafening shout, the first barbarian warriors rushed forward to attack. But the Romans were waiting for that moment. Suddenly, a rain of javelins crossed the air. The heavy pilum struck the enemy's shields, pinning and disabling their defense. Then the two forces finally collided. But inside the pass, numbers no longer mattered. Roman discipline turned that narrow space into a fortress. Thousands of warriors were trapped behind the front line, unable to fight. And slowly, the enormous horde began to turn into chaos. Trained to fight as a single body, the Romans began to push the enemy back. But the true Roman plan had not yet begun. Above the pass, another group of soldiers waited for the right moment. Then, the trap was finally activated. Huge rocks began to fall over the warriors trapped in the pass. In seconds, the barbarian formation turned into pure chaos. From above, the Romans attacked without mercy, but there was nowhere to escape. Meanwhile, the 300 Romans advanced slowly. Trained for that type of combat, they fought with deadly precision. The enormous barbarian army had completely fallen into the trap. Within a few minutes, the massive army began to lose all its organization. The warriors at the front tried to flee, but thousands were still pressing from behind. Now the barbarians were trapped, attacked from the front and from the heights. From above, the rain of attacks continued without stopping, and on the ground, the Roman line slowly advanced. Trained to fight in tight spaces, the Romans had a deadly advantage. Some barbarian leaders tried to reorganize their troops, but panic had already spread throughout the army. The Romans knew victory was near. And then, the enormous horde finally broke. The few survivors ran desperately out of the pass, But the Romans did not intend to let that victory slip away. When the fighting finally ended, the pass was silent. 300 soldiers had faced an impossible force and survived, exhausted but victorious. On that day, Roman discipline defeated brute force. The news of the victory quickly traveled toward Rome. When the message arrived, few could believe it. Against all expectations, the threat had been defeated. That pass would become part of history, a place where 300 men changed the fate of thousands. Stories like this helped build the legendary reputation of the Roman legions, because Rome did not conquer the world with numbers alone, but with strategy, discipline, and courage. And on that day, 300 Romans proved that even an army of 40,000 men could be defeated.